Hello, my name is Anna. I've been practicing yoga for many years, and this video is my desire to share with you what I know about breathing, because it is such an important part of our practice. And there's a lot of confusing, misleading, and downright incorrect information out there. And I'm going to explain just the simple, full diaphragmatic breath. It is the foundation for all the other breathing exercises you would ever come across, the Pranayama, in your yoga practice. It is not a secret anymore that proper breathing is the foundation for health. Deep, full diaphragmatic breath kicks in our parasympathetic neurological response, the rest and digest mode. We're able to be relaxed, we're able to be focused, our stress levels are reduced, our food is digested better, sleep, mood, all of those things can be affected by breath. Visualize the diaphragm, which is your main breathing organs. You don't breathe with your belly, you breathe with your lungs, and the diaphragm is your main breathing muscle. It is located underneath your lower ribs. It's a dome-shaped muscle. Think of it as a bowl upside down. When you breathe, the diaphragm moves downward, flattens out, becomes more like a plate, and pushes your lower ribs out in all directions, evenly and circumferentially. Not just into the front of the body, but sides and back of the body. When the diaphragm moves down, it displaces the internal organs, and that, for some people, causes the belly to lift, which is why sometimes you hear it being described as belly breaths. But for some people like me, the belly doesn't really move all that much. What is key, though, is that your chest remains relaxed throughout. You need to be in good posture. It's best to do this seated. You can, of course, do this lying down if you can't be seated, but the danger of that is that you will fall asleep. It's very relaxing. So if you can be seated, sit on a chair, nice flat seat, away from the back of it. Make sure you don't lean onto the back of the chair, don't cross your legs, don't slouch with your chest. Come forward to the front edge of the chair. Stack your shoulders over your hips and come into neutral pelvis, meaning that navel and pubis are level to each other and you have a little bit of a lumbar arch. Not too much, not too flat. The point is that you want to have even space all around the lower ribs, so that the diaphragm can expand evenly and circumferentially in all directions. If you're too shifted forward, too arched in the low back, the ribs and the back body will compress the diaphragm and will not allow the breath to move into the back body sufficiently. If you're too slumped, you're doing the same thing but in the front. The ribs in the front are compressing your diaphragm. Same thing if you cross your legs. Now you're compressing your ribs on one side as opposed to the other. So you have to be in a very symmetric position. On the sitting bones, evenly balanced in your pelvis, in neutral pelvis, with the shoulders and head stacked over the hips. Visualize a straight line from the ear to the shoulder to the hip joint. This is the best position for full diaphragmatic breath because it frees your diaphragm for the function. Once you sit up straight, first focus on the exhale. We carry a lot of tension in our body, and that leads us to take shallow areas in the upper chest. We kind of breathe with these muscles up here, lifting the rib cage from the muscles of the upper back and even neck. And that's why we have so much tension in this area. First, you need to relax. The more relaxed you are, the easier the breathing will be. Take a moment to scan your body from top to bottom for presence of any tension. The better your posture is, actually, the easier it is for you to relax. Think of shifting the weight of your body into the bones of your skeleton, rather than using your muscles to hold your bones together. If you're not used to sitting up straight, you might become tired sooner rather than later from sitting like this, because the muscles that are supposed to be used for better posture may be weak. So you don't have to sit like this for long, 5-10 minutes to get you started. Ideally, you would like to do deep breathing for 20-30 minutes every day, but if you get too tired sitting like this for that stretch of a time, you can break it up into 10-minute sessions, 2 times a day. It's best to be done before meals, so that your digestive system is properly prepared to receive and process the food. So do this on an empty stomach. Once you sit up straight, you can close your eyes or just gaze softly and nothing in specific in front of you. Relax your facial muscles, relax your jaw, and focus on exhale. Think of just discharging from your body some of the things you're holding, some of the tension in the usual places, as well as the chatter of your mind, your daily concerns and worries and anxieties. All of that only contributes to shallow chest breathing, and we want to move away from that. As you lengthen the exhalation, you will feel more relaxed, and your inhale will deepen naturally. Once you notice your inhale deepening as a natural response to your more relaxed state, direct it down into the body. Keep your chest soft and relaxed and the shoulders back, and focus the stream of the breath straight for the bottom of the inverted bowl of your diaphragm, as if you want to flatten it out. So let's practice this together. Exhale, and your diaphragm is pulled underneath your ribs, reshapes itself. On the inhale, visualize the diaphragm flattening out and expanding your lower ribs out evenly in all directions. You can use your hands on your body for reference. Bring one hand to the front or the side, the other hand maybe to the back, so you can feel the lower ribs, not just in the front but in the back body, move a little bit as you breathe. Now, when we take these deep breaths, we're not so much concerned with getting in more oxygen. This is one piece of information that's out there that I find is misleading. We don't necessarily want more oxygen, regardless of what you have heard. Oxygen is an oxidizer. It actually is almost like poison. Yes, we need it to live, and we wouldn't last 2 minutes without it. But hyperventilation and shallow, rapid breaths is what actually increases oxygen in the body, and we all know that leads to increased levels of anxiety, poor digestion, stress, all sorts of negative consequences come from too much oxygen. Oxygen, when the blood has too much of it, actually makes it more acidic. Imagine acid running through your veins. Every painful sensation is magnified. Every little twinge of pain you experience 10 times worse. That's what happens when you get too much oxygen, which is what you would have when you have short, shallow chest breaths. What you should be more interested in is lengthening the breath, especially the exhale component of it. And lengthen it to such an extent that eventually you would have a natural pause at the end of the exhalation. And it is during that pause, which should be completely unforced, should not be dragged out beyond what's comfortable for you, but should be allowed to linger for whatever comfortable length. During that pause is when carbon dioxide levels in the blood begin to rise. And carbon dioxide levels actually reduce the acidity of the blood, make it more alkaline. So you have a healing tonic running through your veins instead of the acid bath. And every painful sensation is reduced. You feel more relaxed and pain-free. The question then arises, how do you lengthen the breath, especially sufficiently enough to increase the carbon dioxide levels and balance them out in relation to the oxygen levels in your blood? We have a special signaling system in our body that's hardwired into our anatomy that signals to us when we are oxygen deprived. However, we don't have such a system for carbon dioxide levels, which is why we don't even know it most of the time when those levels are low. Yoga gives us great tools to work on lengthening our breath. It's called the Ujjayi breath technique. By narrowing the throat at the bottom, narrowing the epiglottis inside the throat, you are constricting the passage of air so that it passes through a narrower space. And that allows longer time for your inhale and exhale. It also gives your diaphragm resistance to work against. It pulls the air in as if through a straw. It pushes the air out against that resistance. And the diaphragm, as a consequence, becomes a stronger muscle, a healthier muscle. And that is beneficial for us. In order to properly constrict the airflow, think of saying first on the exhale, but with your mouth closed. You will hear a soft noise in the back of the head, and you will feel a rustle of the breath through the windpipe, like this. Now make sure it's not too loud. I often hear in the yoga studios people's Ujjayi breath being too loud. That got started a while back when teachers were trying to explain to students how to engage the breath, how to perform the Ujjayi breath correctly, and so they exaggerated the sound like I just did, making it a lot louder than needed to be. The students thought that that's how loud their breath should be as well. And so you often hear these fierce, loud Ujjayi breaths in yoga studios across the country. Your Ujjayi breath actually should be much softer than that, and basically audible mostly to you, or maybe to somebody who is standing very close to you. It should not be heard across the room. So let's try that again. I'm going to exaggerate a little bit for your benefit so that you hear the smooth noise that the breath makes as it exits my body. I want you to replicate that, but then soften it just enough so it's not so harsh. Inhale and exhale. Notice that the breath is significantly lengthened. The same technique can be used on the inhale as well. Just as you constrict your throat on the way out, you can constrict when the breath comes in. Try inhaling with your mouth open through the constriction in the epiglottis, like this. And then do the same through your nose only, keeping the mouth closed. Inhale. And exhale. Notice that my chest and shoulders don't rise much at all. The ribcage expands, but the shoulders can stay relaxed. For me, the belly actually pulls inwards. As the diaphragm expands, kind of lifts the belly up a little bit. So that's your full diaphragmatic breath. Once your exhale lengthens, inhale deepens, you can use a loudly ticking clock to begin to slowly build your breath. I have one in my studio that I use. Count the seconds of your inhale and exhale. So let's try this with the ticking of a clock. Start with very comfortable breath for you. Inhale and exhale a few times, counting the length of each half of the breath. For most of us, when we begin, when we're untrained, the inhale is often short, sometimes as short as 2 counts, 3 counts, 4 counts would be sort of the average untrained breath. You will notice that the inhale and exhale are roughly similar in length. Now everybody is different. Your inhale may be longer than your exhale. And that is often true about people who are very active, very high-strung, suffer from anxiety, nervousness. It's that really shallow, rapid breath. For some people, the exhale is longer. Those people often suffer from low energy. They feel sleepy throughout the day. Sometimes it's a sign of depression. But try and at least even out approximately the length of your inhale and the length of your exhale. And then slowly begin to add a count or two to each exhalation. Say you exhale is 4. The next time you exhale, make it 5. And the next time after that, make it 6. And see if you can maintain a slightly longer exhale for a few breaths. Once you can maintain the length of the exhale at 6, see if you can add a couple of more counts. For example, over time, hopefully you would arrive at inhalation for the count of 4 and exhalation for the count of 8. Give yourself plenty of time to achieve this. I don't mean all in one day. Weeks, sometimes months are needed to learn that kind of control of the breath. When you exhale lengthens to twice the length of the inhale, you feel relaxed even more. That is a magic ratio, so to speak, when your parasympathetic nervous system kicks in. What often happens as a result is that your inhale deepens as well. And you end up, say, with the inhale for the count of 5 and the exhale for the count of 8. Now you have a longer breath altogether. Enjoy that for a few weeks. And then begin to add some more. Inhale for a count of 5 and build your exhale to the count of 10. You may be noticing slight natural pauses in my breath at the end of the inhale and exhale. Even at that length, after 15 years of practicing yoga, that breath is too fast for me. When I'm relaxed and I'm doing my full diaphragmatic breathing exercises, my inhale is a count 12 to 15, and my exhale is a count 24 to 30. And then I would also have a nice long pause at the end of the exhalation, maybe to a count of 10 as well. So that's sort of something to give you a reference on how much the breath can expand if you practice it. Don't rush into it though. Don't make it a goal for yourself. It would be wonderful if your breath was a count of 5 on the inhale and a count of 10 on the exhale. Once you achieve that, however, you can start adding a little bit more length to the pause at the end of the exhalation. Say you inhale for 5, exhale for 10, hold for 2. As long as comfortable. If not comfortable, continue as before without the pauses. Once you're comfortable holding for breath for 2, extend that hold for, say, 3 or 4 or even 5. In a few weeks, try to arrive at a breath of inhaling for 5, exhaling for 10, holding for 5. That is a great average breath that can make you ready for other more advanced types of pranayama. Once your hold after the exhale is comfortable, up to a count of 5, you can do the same on the inhale in that order. First you lengthen the exhale component of the breath. Then you start to build the inhale component of the breath. These counts shift day to day depending on how stressed you are, what has transpired in your week. If you're under a lot of stress, you will notice that it's much more difficult to lengthen the breath overall. However, as you try, you will notice that your stress levels are reduced. It's very interesting to watch the breath change day to day. Hopefully within the next few months you can inhale for 5, hold for 3, exhale for 10, and hold for 3 to 5. And that would be a wonderfully accomplished breath. After that, seek out an experienced yoga teacher to help you expand your horizons, work on your pranayama, and deepen your yoga practice and improve the quality of your life. Namaste.